In Baghdad, CIA operative Carrie Mathison races towards a prison as she has learned that one of her contacts, a bomb maker named Hassan, is about to be executed. She is on the phone with CIA Deputy Director David Estes, suspecting that Hassan's execution was rushed because he has intel on an imminent attack on U.S. soil. But David is skeptical of Hassan's intel and reminds Carrie that he is out of their jurisdiction. Despite her pleading, David shuts her down. Despite this, Carrie has her contact bribe a security guard at the prison who leads her to Hassan's cell. He refuses to talk now that the CIA won't help him, but Carrie promises to bring his family to safety if he gives her the intel on a terrorist, Abu Nazir. Hassan complies, then whispers a chilling warning. An American prisoner of war has been turned by Al-Qaeda. But before he can say more, soldiers come and take Carrie away. 10 months later, she joins a briefing at CIA headquarters being done by David. He explains that a raid on a terrorist compound yielded better results than they expected. In a locked room, they rescued Sergeant Nicholas Brody, a Marine lost in action for 8 years. His return is hailed as a miracle by the agency and the public, but to Carrie, it feels like a ticking time bomb. Later, she meets with CIA Director Saul Berenson, telling him the message she got from Hassan and her suspicions that Nicholas Brody could be Abu Nazir's mole in the U.S. Nicholas is scheduled to land in the U.S. tomorrow, and she thinks the CIA should bug his home and keep tabs on him. But Saul thinks Carrie is reaching and refuses to go over David's head and sign off on a surveillance package on a hunch. We then see Sergeant Brody at a German Air Force base preparing to head home. Meanwhile, his wife Jessica is in the middle of having an affair with Nicholas's friend and fellow Marine Mike Faber when she gets the unexpected call that her husband is still alive. Without saying much of a goodbye, she races back home where she finds her son Chris playing video games. She goes looking for her daughter Dana, only to find her in a room with her boyfriend Xander smoking pot and demands that he leave the house. She then breaks the news of their father being alive. Nicholas returns on a private flight to the U.S. in his military outfit. They plan to parade him in front of the entire nation and media outlets as a hero, but Nicholas seems distant and lost in thought. The next morning, Jessica and the kids head out to meet Brody. Unaware, 2 men, Virgil and Max, have been scoping out the home and soon make their move and break into the house. The 2 work for Carrie, who is running an illegal op to bug Brody's house as the CIA refuses to act on her suspicions. Nicholas soon lands and comes face to face with his family, and there is silence. Jessica is first to hug him, then Dana, but Chris hardly remembers him. Nicholas doesn't see his mother around and learns that she passed away 4 years ago. At the military parade, Nicholas is paraded before the media, and watching the news report is Carrie, her doubts and paranoia growing with every moment, and she demands the men not miss a spot. After the parade, the family is heading to their car when Mike comes to greet Nicholas with a hug, leaving Jessica with an uncomfortable look. After catching up, Mike reveals he was ordered to arrange Nicholas's follow-up debriefing by Estes and plans to send a car for him in the morning. The family returns home to a crowd gathered outside their home. Carrie contacts Berenson asking for permission to be in Nicholas's interrogation room, and Berenson agrees under the condition that she doesn't cause any trouble. Her guys have completed their bugging of Nicholas's home, and she has full access to everything going on. That night, Nicholas and Jessica try making love, but she sees the scars on his body and freaks out. Nicholas calms her down, and they eventually get down to business. But Nicholas doesn't last long, which doesn't seem to satisfy her. The next day, Carrie joins Nicholas's debriefing, and while the other agents want to know any intel he gathered from the enemy in those years, Carrie wants to know why he was kept alive for 8 years when he claimed he never gave the enemy any intel. But Nicholas has no idea why. She shows him pictures of Abu Nazir, and he claims to have never seen him, but Carrie sees his reaction to the pictures. Carrie presses him for an answer, but Estes intervenes, making her back down. Jessica is at home when she gets a call from Nicholas. He claims to be stuck at Langley at the debriefing, but he is actually on the road, and Virgil takes note of this. He passes the information on to her, and she decides to head there. Estes meets up with Berenson, complaining about Carrie trying to link Nicholas to Abu Nazir during the debriefing. Berenson doesn't think it's much of an issue, but Estes thinks he is giving her too much leeway and threateningly warns it could end badly for them both. Nicholas gets to a park in Carrie, along with Virgil and Max, are monitoring him. They soon see a woman come to join him, but she turns out to be Helen, the wife of the other Marine who was captured along with Nicholas but was killed. She has been getting no information from the government about her husband's death and wants to know how he died. Nicholas reluctantly explains that her husband was beaten to death. He recalls watching him die, but lies to Helen that he saw nothing. Virgil then reveals that he knows Carrie has been taking an antipsychotic drug and is worried that the Nicholas Abu Nazir link is all in her head. She reveals she has been dealing with mood swings all her life, and even if she is wrong, Virgil is in way too deep to bail on her now. She returns home where Berenson is waiting for her, revealing he knows about her illegal operation. He plans to turn her over to the IG, but Carrie pleads with him as she is just looking out for the country. He still refuses, and in a moment of desperation, she tries seducing him, but that doesn't work and he leaves. She takes her meds and tries to settle her nerves, but seems to be losing it, trying on a bunch of clothes before choosing one and heading out. Nicholas is hosting some friends over, including Mike, who sneaks away to talk with Jessica privately. He wants them to work something out, as their relationship was very serious, as they even planned to tell the kids and move in together. Jessica is lost for words, but cannot change the fact that Nicholas is her husband. Nicholas notices the two talking and learns from Chris that Mike has been over regularly. Carrie hits the bar where she meets a guy who seems interested in her. Carrie only wants her cheeks demolished and wants to head back to his place. Meanwhile, on the TV news, reports of Nicholas are playing when she notices Nicholas's hand moving strangely. She rushes over to Berenson's place that same night, showing him the strange hand movements of Nicholas. Berenson thinks he's just nervous, but Carrie reveals he only does it on camera and thinks it's a code. Berenson thinks the same thing and tells her she may not go to jail just yet. That night, Jessica wakes to see no sign of Nicholas. He is out for a morning run, going over Helen's questions, and from a flashback, it's revealed Nicholas was the one who killed his partner under Abu Nazir's directive. His run takes him to the White House, and he stares at the building. While monitoring Nicholas's feed, Carrie sees him jump awake, drenched in sweat. Nicholas goes to Jessica, who reveals that he was speaking Arabic and grabbed her arm violently in his sleep and shows him the bruises he left behind. Jessica and the kids soon leave for the day, passing the horde of reporters outside. Once alone, Nicholas ignores the ringing phone and goes to curl up in a corner, and Carrie takes notes of all this. Berenson's analyst is unable to find a pattern to Nicholas's finger tapping, but Berenson urges him to continue looking. Berenson visits a judge whom he has blackmailed in order to have him sign a warrant for the surveillance of Nicholas. He delivers the warrant to Carrie personally, explaining it will only give her 4 weeks of legitimacy, and Carrie apologizes for crossing the line with him. She then shows him Nicholas curled up in his corner for the past 5 hours and tells him about the nightmares he has been experiencing, where he begs someone to kill him in Arabic. Berenson thinks it's normal for someone in captivity for 8 years, but Carrie feels it's something more. In a hotel room, a woman, Lynn Reed, is interviewing girls for a Saudi Prince Farid while his representative, Latif bin Walid, stands by. Lynn interviews the half-naked girl, then tells her she needs to shave as she has been picked. Lynn then claims to be booking a waxing appointment for noon tomorrow, but once Latif leaves the room, we see she is actually talking to the CIA, requesting to meet with Carrie, and Carrie soon gets the call. On the surveillance cameras, she notices Jessica return home, and Nicholas snaps out of his mood, lying to her that he had a great day. Mike gets to his office to see his general and Estes already there. They ask for a situational report on Nicholas, but Mike thinks he is far from being ready for the public. They explain that America and its politicians want to pull out of the Middle East, but they know the terrorists are still out there and need Nicholas in the public eye to convince them otherwise. Mike is concerned about Nicholas's mental state, but they don't care, and Estes hints that he knows about Mike's and Jessica's relationship and suggests that he find a way to convince Nicholas to get with the program. If he complies, Nicholas will be re-enlisted, and Mike could look forward to a promotion from captain. Nicholas is at home with Chris when he notices a reporter in his yard taking pictures. Nicholas warns him to leave, but the reporter persists, and Nick attacks him out of reflex. Feeling overwhelmed, Nick leaves through the woods, and Carrie, who had been watching the entire thing, calls Max, asking him to follow Nicholas. She then meets with Lynn in a spa, who reveals that a few days ago she was in Cyprus with Prince Farid when he was visited by Abu Nazir himself. Lynn wants to get out, as she fears it's only a matter of time before she is found out. But Carrie tries convincing her, as she is the only CIA asset to lay eyes on Abu Nazir and promises to protect her. Carrie then contacts Berenson, telling him they have visual confirmation on Nazir, asking him to organize a team. Mike turns up at Nicholas's home to talk and learns about the reporter incident. He also sees the bruises on Jessica's arm, but promises that everything will be okay. Virgil, who is watching the cameras, takes note of their interaction. Carrie meets with Berenson, who explains that they don't have enough evidence to authorize a task force on Nicholas. She thinks Abu Nazir resurfacing as Nicholas has returned home isn't a coincidence, but Berenson is adamant they need more evidence. He explains that Estes sees Brody as his way to a promotion and warns that her digging may make her a target. Carrie then calls Max, who has lost sight of Nicholas but is tracking him down. Estes congratulates Carrie on getting info on Abu Nazir and wants Lynn to stay on him. Carrie wants to guarantee her protection with a backup squad, but Estes doesn't want to waste resources on an asset and tells Carrie she is the backup. She then gets a call from Max, who has followed Nicholas into a hardware store. Nicholas is checking out construction materials, and he plans to update her on what he is up to. Carrie returns home, where Virgil is still monitoring the cameras as Mike is preparing dinner with Jessica and the kids. Nicholas soon returns but avoids the family and heads to the garage, but Carrie finds out there are no cameras there. Nicholas soon returns and joins the family for an awkward dinner. After dinner, Mike tries convincing Nicholas to take the interviews, as there are plans to do a movie about him. But Nicholas knows he was sent by the military and tells Mike he is done taking orders. He regrets joining up for their stupid war and losing the last 8 years bonding with his family and demands that Mike leave. Lynn and Latif bin Walid are leaving a hotel when Virgil, unknown to her, spills coffee on her. Latif allows her to go to the bathroom, where Carrie meets her and gives her a device to plug into Prince Farid's cell phone. Lynn is still worried about her safety, but Carrie lies that there is a team protecting her. Early the next morning, Nicholas waits until Jessica is asleep before heading to the garage and out of Carrie's view. Inside, Nicholas prepares himself before doing an Islamic prayer. He returns to Jessica, lying that he was cleaning out his garage. Later, Nicholas takes a complete 180, puts on his uniform, ready to face the press, and Carrie calls Berenson as it's just as she expected. Lynn and Prince Farid make love, and once he leaves the room, she hurriedly plugs Carrie's device into his cell phone. She is almost caught, but manages to complete the upload just as Farid returns to the room. He then gifts her a very expensive necklace. At Nicholas's home, a TV network is preparing his home for an interview in 2 days. Dana is out hanging with her friends and smoking. She tells them about the interview, and her friends suggest that she do something crazy, like telling the truth on live TV. Carrie joins an Estes briefing about Prince Farid. She suspects that the prince is here to transfer money to one of Abu Nazir's people and wants to track down this operative. However, Berenson questions her theory, as it is well known that Prince Farid visits the USA every year to top up his harem. Carrie confronts him afterward, thinking he is trying to derail her. She reminds him of Abu Nazir's goal to attack the USA, but Berenson tells her it was a legitimate question she cannot give them answers to. Dana returns home late that night, but Jessica and Nicholas are up waiting for her. Jessica is furious, but Nicholas doesn't think much of it. She thinks Dana always has an attitude and is hard to deal with, so Nicholas offers to talk to her. A while later, Carrie hears the two laughing loudly, seemingly having a good time. The following day, Carrie secretly meets with Lynn and collects the card with Farid's information. She explains that they are looking for any money transfers and conversations linking to any attacks, but Lynn is doubtful about Farid's involvement. She thinks he is a nice guy who just loves a lot of girls, but Carrie thinks that not just anyone would meet with Abu Nazir, and that says a lot. The next day, the family is preparing for the interview, with Nicholas making breakfast. Jessica tells him Dana won't want any, but Dana takes the plate before scowling at Jessica. Later, Nicholas is doing a walking interview about his time in the Middle East. The interviewer asks him about the torture he endured and what his captors wanted to accomplish. Nicholas recalls the torture, but explains that they wanted to break his spirit, which they could not, but his eyes tell a different story. Later, Jessica is at a drive-thru with Dana. She thinks Dana is upset because of the interviews and camera crews, but Dana reveals she knows she has been sleeping with Mike. Jessica tries to deny it at first, but eventually comes clean as she thought Nicholas was dead. Jessica tries to get her to promise to say nothing, but Dana ignores her. They get back home where the news station interviewer is present and ready to do a sit-down interview with the family. Carrie gets back home where Virgil shows her video of Jessica confessing to Mike that Dana knows about them, but Carrie doesn't care about their family drama. They haven't pulled anything from Prince Farid's cell phone, and she is growing impatient as she only has 3 weeks left on her warrant. Lynn and some new girls get to a club. She is approached by Latif, who tells her that Farid wants her to make a client of his feel welcome tonight. She wonders why Farid didn't tell her himself, but Latif tells her that the prince is in a business meeting. He tells her the driver is ready, but Lynn asks to freshen up first. She calls Carrie, telling her about the request and worried for her safety, but Carrie lies to her that her backup team is close by. She and Virgil then begin tracking her cell phone and head towards her. Meanwhile, Lynn meets the driver at the back of the club. The man leads her to the car, but suddenly shoots her dead before taking her necklace. Carrie and Virgil get to the club only to find Lynn dead in the street and are forced to leave her there. Jessica wakes the next morning to learn that Dana and Nicholas drove out before she woke up. Meanwhile, Nicholas and Dana are taking a walk. He shows her a padlock he and Jessica placed on a fence to represent their love, explaining that relationships aren't easy. He talks about how hard it was for him in the Middle East, but explains that Jessica also had a rough time and Dana should cut her some slack. Carrie gets to work, where Estes expresses sympathies for Lynn's death, suspecting that she was made somehow, but Carrie doesn't say much. Jessica sees Nicholas and Dana return home, but everything appears fine. Carrie joins other agents watching the police interview with Farid, who seems genuinely crushed by Lynn's death. Carrie wants to talk to him personally, but learns that Farid already left the country. She is upset Estes made them leave, but he thinks she should forget about the asset and find another way to track Abu Nazir down. During the interview, the family is asked about their reunion so far, and Dana tells them it has been great having their dad back. Carrie heads to the morgue where Lynn's parents are grieving over their daughter's body. Later, she grieves to Berenson about Lynn's death and how she wanted to explain everything to her parents, but was unable to. It's eating her up inside, and to make things worse, she hasn't found any trace of a money transfer from Farid, and he has left the country. Based on Farid's reaction to Lynn's death, he seemed to genuinely not know she would die, but his conversation with Abu Nazir still puzzles her, until Berenson suggests that maybe Nazir was there to talk with someone else from the entourage and was just exchanging a greeting with Farid. As for the money transfer, the easiest way to move money is through jewelry, and at that same time, we see Latif selling Lynn's necklace for $400,000.